There was a period in our sophomore year where I left Williams and went to Wesleyan, and my twin came here. What we ended up doing was mapping out each class and picking 6 people at each institution that would take us around so we wouldn't get lost. The idea was to try to figure out what was the difference between Williams and Wesleyan if you're genetically the same. And for 1 week, Sunday of a homecoming party to Saturday the next week, we switched classes for that week. Now because we had been warned by our high school teachers not to do this, that was every reason to do it. And then we checked maybe 6-8 months before with the presidents. I saw Finney Baxter, Stuart saw Vic Butterfield, and said if we did this, we didn't say we would be thrown out of school? And they said no, we'd take it as a nice joke and stuff like that. So therefore we were protected. And then we came in, Stuart took my music class, which he had never done, and the exam, didn't do very well. I took his biology exam, and I did fairly well because I just got finished biology at Wesleyan. So they allowed him to keep his biology grade, and I was able to get rid of his music grade. But there are lots of stories like that. People who thought they might see a difference and then apologizing because they realized you couldn't have switched. So then they apologized because they thought you were Stuart. No one thought that we would dare do a switch. But the idea that we would make this, and for a week, if they didn't see me as Jay the first day, they saw me as Jay the next because they had quite forgotten what Jay was like before. Yeah. So all of a sudden, it's the new Jay, and I said that I had my hair cut in Williamstown, and that was it. Stuart wasn't playing squash very well. He was a beginner, and I was a pretty good squash player. So I did beat this guy so single-handedly, he couldn't believe that my brother had improved so well in a week. And then there are all these details about how he used to give the red pencil to the guy next to him in biology class. All these details we collected for over 6-8 months. And yet there were several mix-ups that we had forgotten. One of the more amusing ones was my failing his music exam, which was a listening exam. And because Jay had always done extremely well and had a perfect score, here I had a 10 out of 100. And the exams weren't coming back, and they said there's been a problem. And the problem was that the graduate students had put together the exam, and since my brother always got 100, and I managed to squeeze a 10, they thought the graduate students had made a mistake. So they held up the exam and said that the exam was not valid because they probably mixed the music. Then they mentioned it to the secretary, and she said, you know, it's very strange. Jay always waves at me when he comes in the morning, and he didn't do it this week. So that's what I meant. Everybody was sleuthing, trying to figure out. No, that was just a small detail that you forgot. One example where about 2 weeks before, somebody from my class came up and said, Jay, you must get so annoyed when people think you're your brother. I said, no, it's a lot of fun. He says, oh, it would annoy me very much. So now Stuart arrives, and he goes up, and he says, this can't be Stuart. And he goes up and says, Jay. And he goes up and he says, I know you're not Jay. You must be his twin brother, Stuart. And Stuart, of course, says, no, I'm Jay. So then he goes to my roommate, which, of course, my roommate is in on it, and tells my roommate that he's rooming with the wrong twin. As if his roommate wouldn't have known. So then my roommate says to him, Peter, you're ridiculous. I'm with him all the time. It's really Jay. He then goes and apologizes to Stuart for mistaking him. And then he was the safest person to be with. That was it. He was Whenever I thought I was in trouble, I'd look for Peter. And he would be... Anyway, it's funny.